Welcome to Untold Shocking History Channel. Make sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out more videos like this one.
The USS Shaw explodes in a massive fireball after being hit during the Japanese surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii on December 7, 1941. The attack aimed to weaken the U.S. fleet in the Pacific, inflicting significant losses. Allied soldiers land on the beaches of Normandy, France, on June 6, 1944, during D-Day. The operation involved approximately 156,000 soldiers from various nations, meeting fortified German defenses. American soldiers land in Normandy, France, on June 6, 1944, during D-Day. Under heavy fire from German coastal defenses, they advance from a United States Coast Guard landing craft. U.S. Marines of the 28th Regiment, 5th Division, raise the American flag on Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima on February 23, 1945. The event took place during the Battle of Iwo Jima, one of the most challenging battles of World War II. Soviet soldiers advanced through the rubble of Stalingrad during the Battle of Stalingrad in the fall of 1942. The city was devastated by the intense fighting that lasted from August 1942 to February 1943. The battle was pivotal in World War II, with troops facing extreme cold and shortages of supplies. An explosion destroys a three-story structure on Iwo Jima on April 2, 1945, during the island's invasion by American forces. The blast exposed the end of Turkey Knob, opening the view to the beachhead to the southwest. Two U.S. A-20 Havoc planes fly over Kokas, Indonesia, in July 1943 during a mission in World War II. The lower plane was hit by enemy fire after dropping bombs and crashed into the sea, killing its two crew members. Two U.S. Marines operate flamethrowers on Iwo Jima, Japan, on March 4, 1945, during World War II. On the left is Private Richard Klatt, and on the right is Private Wilfred Vogeli, both helping to clear enemy defenses on Mount Suribachi. On May 21, 1945, Colonel Byrd ordered the burning of the last hut at the Bergen-Belsen camp in Germany. Before setting it ablaze, a rifle volley was fired in tribute to the victims. George Blind, a member of the French resistance, smiles defiantly at a German firing squad in October 1944. He was actively involved in fighting against the German occupation in France. In 1942, a Russian spy is photographed moments before being executed in Finland during the Continuation War. He faced his fate with a smile, surprising those present. Jews wait to board trains around 1941 during World War II. Many believed they were being sent to new jobs, unaware they were being deported to concentration camps. After France's liberation at the end of World War II, citizens who collaborated with the German occupation were publicly punished. About 20,000 people, mostly women, had their heads shaved as a symbol of rejection. Parisians celebrate the arrival of Allied troops in 1944, but take cover when a sniper fires from a building on Place de la Concorde. Despite Germany's surrender, isolated groups still cause tension in the city. Soldiers of the Special Naval Landing Forces of the Imperial Japanese Navy wear gas masks as they advance through the rubble in Shanghai, China, in August 1937. The damaged urban environment reflects the intensity of combat during the Second Sino-Japanese War. British firefighters worked to contain fires amid destroyed buildings in London during the Blitz from 1940 to 1941. The thick smoke shows the effects of German air raids that severely damaged the city. An American cruiser fires its main guns at enemy positions in southern Okinawa, Japan, in 1945. During the Battle of Okinawa, naval artillery supported the advance of ground troops and eliminated enemy defenses. Soldiers fight on a street in Medvezhegorsk, Russia, during World War II, while the city was under Finnish occupation from 1941 to 1944. A street shows destroyed or damaged buildings with rubble scattered everywhere after enemy attacks during World War II. Abandoned vehicles and wreckage reveal the blast's force as people search for survivors and try to salvage belongings. Anti-aircraft fire lights up the sky over Suomenlinna, a sea fortress in Helsinki, Finland, during World War II. Helsinki faced air raids, and anti-aircraft defenses were crucial to protect the city. A German armored tank crosses the Aisne River in France on June 21, 1940. This crossing happened one day before France's official surrender on June 22, 1940. French tanks moved through a ruined town en route to the front lines in France on May 25, 1940. During the German offensive known as the Blitzkrieg, French forces faced swift and intense attacks. German motorcyclists cross a destroyed town in France in 1940 during the Blitzkrieg offensive. The motorcycles were used for rapid transport of troops and supplies, allowing mobility amid the rubble. German reconnaissance squadrons advanced through Luxembourg on May 10, 1940, during the initial phase of the invasion of France. The action marked the beginning of the German campaign in Western Europe. German paratroopers land on snow-covered slopes in Narvik, Norway, in 1940. The action was part of an operation to secure strategic supply routes during World War II. Two British soldiers advance around a German tank during the Battle of El Alamein in Egypt in 1942. This battle marked a crucial turning point for the Allies in North Africa. American soldiers walked beside an M4 Sherman tank in Wernburg, Germany, during the final days of World War II. The smoke in the sky indicates the aftermath of recent air attacks in the area. Corporal James Gregory, holding an M1 Thompson, and technician Omer Taylor, smoking seek cover behind an M4 Sherman tank in Geich, Germany, on December 11, 1944. In 1944, a German spy was arrested behind American lines while disguised in a U.S. uniform. He and two others were captured while trying to deceive American troops. Yakov Djugashvili, Stalin's eldest son, appears in the photo after being captured by German troops in 1941. Stalin tried to rescue his son twice, despite their strained relationship. A German leader and his aide are seen surveying the rubble of a major government building in Berlin on April 28, 1945. The city was surrounded by forces from various nations, marking the final moments of a historically significant era. This image captures a pivotal chapter of transition for the world. During World War II, African American troops such as the Buffalo Soldiers and the 761st Tank Battalion took part in significant battles. Despite facing segregation, they showed courage and determination. Paratroopers descend over the Netherlands in September 1944 during Operation Market Garden. About 20,000 soldiers parachuted in, and another 15,000 landed in gliders. An American gunner operates a machine gun aboard a torpedo boat off the coast of New Guinea in July 1943. The scene depicts preparations to protect the vessel from enemy attacks. Red Army soldiers in a trench during training in 1943, while a T-34 tank rolls over them. The activity prepared the soldiers to deal with enemy tank attacks. A Red Army soldier firing from inside a bathtub during the Battle of Stalingrad in 1942. A Finnish soldier operates a flamethrower in the forest near the village of Niinisalo on July 1, 1942. The equipment was used to strike enemy fortifications and dense wooded areas. A Finnish soldier displays a gas attack device used in a limited capacity during the Continuation War from 1941 to 1944. After 1940, Finland acquired weapons and equipment from Germany, establishing military cooperation against the Soviet Union. A German soldier operates an anti-aircraft gun in support of advancing troops in Denmark on April 9, 1940. This action was part of the German offensive to occupy Denmark and Norway, securing strategic resources. Troops, weapons, and vehicles of the Allied forces land in Sicily, Italy, in July 1943 during Operation Husky. The goal was to open a new front in southern Europe and weaken the Axis. American soldiers march in front of the Colosseum in Rome on June 5, 1944, during the Italian campaign. They were advancing to liberate the city after the Axis forces withdrew. Canadian soldiers land on Courseulles Beach in Normandy on June 6, 1944, during D-Day. As part of Operation Overlord, they faced strong resistance from German forces. Troops and supply trucks marched through Normandy on June 18, 1944, reinforcing positions secured by the Allies after D-Day. The operation was vital to sustaining the troops' advance despite strong resistance from German forces. American soldiers celebrate in an improvised cafe in La Haye-du-Puy, France, on July 15, 1944, after the city's liberation by Allied troops. Robert McCurdy, Harold Smith, and Richard Bennett raise glasses in a toast, celebrating the victory. Soldiers of the 28th Infantry Division of Pennsylvania parade down the Champs-Élysées in Paris on August 29, 1944. 4 days earlier, American troops and Free French forces had entered the city peacefully after the French resistance uprising. A Jewish woman is photographed in a concentration camp in Germany during World War II. She lived under forced labor conditions, punishments, and strict control. An American soldier constantly carries a photo of his girlfriend. During wartime, soldiers often kept pictures of loved ones as a source of comfort and remembrance. Women known as Rosie the Riveters work at a factory in Fort Worth, Texas in 1942. They helped produce military equipment for troops during World War II. An American soldier poses with the Holy Roman Empire's crown in a cave in Siegen, Germany, on April 3rd, 1945. This relic was discovered during World War II when the Allies uncovered hidden cultural treasures. French soldiers transport an artillery piece through a forest on the Western Front on May 29, 1940. The shell will be used to attack enemy positions in occupied French territory. Belgian women bid emotional farewells to their husbands and sons, departing for the front lines on May 11, 1940. Belgium faced the imminent threat of German invasion. On March 27, 1940, the Royal Irish Fusiliers helped French farmers with spring planting. The French army had requisitioned the horses, so a tank was used to pull the plow. Soldiers of the 28th Maori Battalion from New Zealand performed the haka during desert training in World War II. The traditional Maori dance features powerful movements to invoke courage and strengthen fighting spirit. A U.S. Marine rests after 2 days of fighting in the Battle of Eniwetok in 1944. The battle, part of the Pacific Campaign, was pivotal for the Allied forces' advance. A Chinese-American worker in Los Angeles wears a sign on his back to avoid being mistaken for an enemy during World War II in 1942. After the Japanese attack, prejudice against Asians increased in the United States, leading many Chinese citizens to identify themselves to avoid discrimination and attacks. The young Princess Elizabeth poses at Buckingham Palace in London during World War II. In October 1942, at just 16 years old, she was already preparing for future responsibilities. An elderly Italian woman shows gratitude to an American soldier after Italy's liberation in 1945. During World War II, Allied forces expelled German and fascist troops, bringing relief to the population. The German sleep experiment, around 1942, is a horror story claiming that German scientists conducted a cruel experiment on prisoners, depriving them of sleep for days to observe the effects. This image represents one of the visions those prisoners had. Princess Elizabeth visited a U.S. air base in England in 1944. At that time, she was still a princess and not yet queen. A Japanese poster depicts President Roosevelt with frightening features resembling actor Bela Lugosi, known for playing Dracula. The propaganda aimed to create a menacing image of the United States during World War II. Elizabeth Glodden appears before judicial authorities in 1944, held accountable for supporting someone who tried to change the country's leadership. She and her relatives faced penalties for their actions in support of those seeking government reform. Since ancient times, dogs have been used in wars, serving vital roles as sentinels, messengers, and even attackers. During World War II, around 1940, they helped deliver messages, locate mines, and patrol front lines. Their special training and loyalty made them indispensable, with many also serving as mascots that boosted troop morale. These dogs were silent heroes throughout the history of battles. British schoolchildren participate in an air raid safety drill during World War II. Schools held training sessions to teach children how to protect themselves during air raids. U.S. Navy recruits train on Parris Island during World War II. They spend about 3 weeks practicing rifle shooting and training combat tactics. Women work in an underground munitions factory in Wirral, Merseyside, during World War II. They produced bullets and shell casings essential to the Allied war effort. American servicemen witnessed the signing of the Japanese surrender aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo on September 2, 1945. This event officially marked the end of World War II. The Japanese surrender was a crucial step toward restoring peace and rebuilding Japan. Marlene Dietrich, actress and singer, poses seated at a piano in Italy in 1945, surrounded by Allied troops. She performed for the soldiers during World War II, helping boost troop morale. American troops qualified for D-Day pose on the eve of the Normandy landings in France in 1944. The image captures the moment of preparation before one of the most decisive events of World War II. Winston Churchill, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Joseph Stalin meet at the Yalta Conference in Crimea in 1945. The three leaders discussed Europe's future after World War II and Germany's division. A French sailor and 2 U.S. Army soldiers look at the Eiffel Tower after Paris's liberation in 1944. The city was freed in August 1944, ending years of occupation. Dutch civilians celebrate in the streets of Eindhoven in September 1944, after the arrival of Allied forces. The city's liberation took place during Operation Market Garden. Lieutenant Vernon R. Richards of the 361st Fighter Group piloted his P-51D Mustang, Tika-4, in 1944 during an escort mission. The P-51D was vital in protecting Allied aircraft on missions over Germany. A crew cleans the barrel of a Crusader tank in El Arousa, Tunisia, in 1943 during the North African Campaign. British troops trained to deactivate landmines during World War II. These soldiers were essential in clearing safe paths for Allied forces in mined areas. Soldiers of the Black Watch Regiment undergo intensive training in the South Coast area of England in 1940. They were preparing to serve as paratroopers with jump exercises, tactical maneuvers, and rigorous physical training.